Gonky, what's the difference between T-45 and what they? It's pretty similar, right?
I don't know. I was going to ask Tim. I know the Hawk in general has some engine issues now. Is it this? We had the Rolls Royce. I think it was like 5,500 pounds of thrust. I mean, is that the same as the Hawk you guys used?
Yeah, I think you got a little bit more thrust because you have blown flaps on the T-45 because you do stupid things like landing on ships and stuff. And you have the air brakes come out the side, so they don't hit the deck. And
so it was unstable.
Yeah,
when you it was. Boards, it would pitch up.
Yeah, well, I got some dudes flying that out in Meridian, is it? They teach out. So some of our guys went across there. One of my guys, actually, Chris, he's a dude. He married an American woman. He's a Scotsman. Married an American woman, and he is tooled up. Right, wherever he goes, he's got guns in his car. He's like, he's walking around like this everywhere, like goes shopping with it because his wife wants him to be armed. So everywhere he goes, he's like hips down. Honestly, he keeps sending me pictures. I bought this, and you guys modify. Like I bought this Glock 17, but he's modded slide rail, his laser shit going on. It's like, so the modifications cost twice as much as the pistol. He's addicted to it. It's like a hobby. So he's over there flying at Meridian now, and he's been there for like a decade or something, I think. So
yeah, well, I mean, what is he? How do they compare? I've always wondered.
Yours is heavier. Yeah. Ours actually, this is the airplane down here, the Hawk T2 now. The Hawk T1 is over there that the Reds still fly. That's the only unit flying the airplane in the UK. The T1 now is the Red Arrows.
Is the big difference avionics in those?
Yeah, so this is retro. My wife's got an MG Midget, which is an old car from the 60s. And when she flew in the back seat of this, one of my men took her flying. She actually was saying throughout the flight, "Oh, it's got the same dial as this. It's got the same dial as my car. It's the same. It's like the Bakelite shit." And my pilot's like, my guy in the front's like, "Would you shut up a second?" So she was like calling that shit out. So she reckons. Yeah, it didn't impress her at all, actually. I mean, she kept going, "Oh, there's a mountain over there." He's like, "Yeah, thanks." He came back. He was like, "Your wife is just destroying me." So, but yeah, it's very similar to my wife's MG Midget. This one here is it's all synthetic. So we used to say, look, the synthetics on the Hawk T2 is not just the aircraft. That's just part of the package of synthetics. There was a desktop trainer, which is stick and throttles to work out aspects and some other switchology stuff. The guys didn't really use that too much coming through flight training, but they did a couple of sessions. And then up from that, there was another desktop. That was desktop trainers. Then there was the flying training devices, which I think were 8. Sort of you can sit in them, but not in your flight kit, just your flight suit, not your G pants or anything. And that was a touch screen thing, and that had the whole display and everything on there. You could work through the menus. So guys used to go and sit there any time of day and do air combat and stuff, even when they were like on stalling 2 or something, So it was a very accessible device. Anytime, 24 hours a day, they'd go and sit there and practice checks and actually get airborne and fly around, and it was good. But it was on a TV screen. Although down the side, things were very similar to the aircraft. And then we had 2 full mission simulators where big domes, old school projectors, that kind of stuff. And they climb in up a ladder and they go in there and they'd be in their full G pants, their LSJ life jacket and their helmet and everything else. So that was the 3 stages. Then the 4th stage was the actual Hawk itself, which again was synthetic radar, synthetic, had TCAS on there, TCAS 2, had a synthetic radar warning receiver. We could actually synthetic countermeasure suspending systems, so we could put surface to missile systems in here and we could activate them from the rear seat. Obviously the mission planning system. Yeah, it's a great airplane. It just keeps exploding now because it's a dick.
Well, that's frowned upon. So you were teaching these students advanced tactics. So you're talking, I mean, if you can do synthetic radar, you're teaching them intercepts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. So I teach the full Hawk syllabus now. So this whole syllabus here, which is kind of a derivative of what we taught on the Hawk T1, I teach the full syllabus on this now in my school. I just use the F5 and F18 because they're the most developed. Well, the F18 and F5, they kind of complement each other in a strange kind of way, as in the F5 is quite easy, well, quite hard to fly, isn't it? But it's quite easy to operate. Whereas the F18 is quite an easy airplane to fly, but when you get into the menu structure and everything, it's quite hard to operate. So those 2 aircraft complement each other quite well. They're quite well developed in DCS, even though one of my students said, "Oh, CW doesn't like DCS anymore." Like they squinted you right up. Like right up. Honestly, they did. I was like, seriously. And they were like, so I was like, okay, boy, I'll have a chat with him then.
Yeah. And these things. Jeez.
So I was actually when I went through as a student, obviously I was all on Hawk T1. When I came back, I was actually I was an instructor on T1 as well, but on the advanced flying training, so teaching stalling, spinning, navigation, formation, all that kind of early work basically. And then when I came back as an instructor on the T2 via Afghanistan with the United States Army, which are lovely people, by the way, I then came and taught on this as the tactics instructor, which of course, when you know what you're doing with advanced flying and then someone says, come and be the tactics instructor, there's a lot of reading to do, isn't there? So that was a bit depressing, but I was then the flight commander doing that, trying to work out what the hell I was doing for about 3 years. But it was, it's good for that. Yeah, it's a really good, it's a good platform, and it is a good airplane. It's just that there's problems with the engines, and there's problems, I think, really with the way this was kind of built as opposed to the way that was kind of built. It's just a little bit more fragile, and that was a bit more of a workhorse. So yeah, it is what it is.